Welcome to Emotional Support Water Bottle with Hannah and Ailish. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ailish. Well, I feel like I had a lot of topics written down. Oh, one thing that was random that I thought would be an interesting discussion. I saw this girl on TikTok, and she was like this typical baddie. And I'd say she's probably like younger than us, like early to mid 20s at the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of tattoos, which is fine, but like definitely more of that like hard masculine energy. I'm one of the guys, you know? And the video that came up on my feed was her saying, like, I'm recognizing this in myself and it's not serving me anymore, or it hasn't been serving me well. And I want to get more in touch with my feminine side and my feminine energy. And it was just really interesting because she's like, I don't know if other women can relate to this. And it's like, you know, being a lot more girly and stuff like that. And a lot of women could, because she had a ton of comments and views and stuff. But then I looked at her page, and I mean, she really was that typical. I mean, all I can like really say is like that baddie that it's like, oh, I don't really get along with girls. Like all my friends are guys. I'm just one of the guys. And I mean, she still was beautiful, but you know, it was like, I just put on my eyeliner and my baby tea, and you know, I'm hot, but like, I don't want to hang out. I'm like unattainable kind of, you know? And she's been going on this TikTok journey of just totally like feminizing herself and like really taking it seriously and trying to read books and listen to podcasts and trying to get in tune with this different energy. And I kind of wanted to know what you think about that. Not that I don't think we ever were like on her side of things, but it just was interesting.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there are like, I feel like turned to 30. I just feel like I feel more in touch as like a woman and like care more about what womanhood means and what girlhood means than I have in the past. I definitely feel like there's been times where you just don't feel comfortable in your skin.
Yeah.
And then it's like, ugh, you know, am I too boyish? Am I too, like, am I not? You know, like sometimes you just feel really uncomfortable in your skin. But I also feel like with like these, you know, the gender stereotypes are really hard too, because it's like we can't handle when people are both, or like if they're too one way or not enough the other way. Like I even too, like when we were growing up, like being too feminine was always like the evil person or like the mean girl, and the nerdy girl was always cooler and stuff. And I feel like we're becoming more accepting of like, no, it's okay to be girly and like girly stuff.
Yeah.
And so that probably is like a journey that would be really interesting for this girl. And maybe she even, like you said, she's maybe around our age. Maybe she always felt like that too. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. And she said too, she's like, I've always had to be more independent and kind of, I think that mentality too, that women kind of, I don't know, it's almost like we were kind of pushed that way of no, I'm independent. I don't need a man. I can do that myself. But and that's not bad to be that way, obviously. I think it's good to be independent and not still self-reliant on another person in general. But it's just, some women kind of go to the extreme, where it's almost like like this girl felt like she was repelling the things that she really wanted. Like she wanted to be in a serious relationship, but she had labeled herself as like oh no, I'm just like the chill hookup girl, because I don't care about you know, I don't need a man.
Cool.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And it's just, I don't know. That's weird. I feel like we, as a society, almost like you said, that like stereotypical girl or woman always kind of got a bad reputation almost in the movies or shows, and it pushed us away from that femininity.
Actually, I was listening to Fluently Forward today, and she was like talking about mean girls and like girls in Hollywood or whatever, but she brought up one of the, like, an example in New Girl where I can't remember what's her real name. Oh, Lizzie, I can't remember her last name, it starts with a C, who played Janice in Mean Girls.
Yeah.
But they were talking about when she was a guest star in New Girls, and like Jess is like obviously the really girly girl. And then she is dating, I can't remember which one, or the Lizzie
I never
girl.
even watched New Girl, so I can't
did, but I can't remember this girl's last name. Anyway, so she is like this really tough girl, and Jess is like, I just don't like her. She's mean. But she was like this girl who worked in a male dominated area, and she had to feel like she had to be taken seriously by being really tough and everything. And it was just interesting, like the two extremes of like a women.
And it almost was sad to listen and watch some of these TikToks from this girl too. Right. And I wish I would have like written down her name. I should have, so I could.
You'll never find her again, like literally,
unless she comes back up. But because she was even saying like, I don't even feel pretty in a dress.
Right.
Like for her, it went to such an extreme where it's like, I don't even feel pretty in my own skin. And obviously women can dress however they want or like whatever they want, but it was like she wanted to get more in touch with that side of herself, but she felt like she couldn't because she just didn't even feel comfortable anymore in that.
I know that even reminds me of like being younger, and like for some reason we were all told we were supposed to hate dresses.
Yeah.
And then you'd put one on and you're like, who even am I? Like you just feel so uncomfortable. But now it's like, it's so easy to throw on like a t-shirt dress and just like be done with it. And then people will be like, when you so dressed up for?
Right.
It's like, this took less
dresses.
time.
Yeah. But I went through that phase too when I was younger. I'm like, I hate dresses. I don't like skirt. Like, why?
I don't. And it's almost like we're kind of like taught to hate being a girl.
Yeah. I mean, we could go deeper into that too, like, but for sure.
Yeah, it's like just femininity has always just been such like an evil villain. Yeah, because even life.
Like, I mean, there's obviously other layers to this too, but when we're in the teen years and stuff, it was so against like wearing makeup, and if you did wear makeup, then you were looked at a different way.
You were fake if you had the nails. At least like at our experience and stuff. It was like if you had the fake nails, then you were fake.
Yeah, you were cared so much about vanity. Yeah, or like there was no substance to you.
Right.
But that's not even true.
No.
I mean, you can be so many things at the same time. You can care about your looks and also be smart, but it just felt like when we were growing up, you couldn't.
Because then, and you also couldn't be a threat to other women. Like if you looked too, it was like, and I mean, I'm sure we were even feeling that way too. Like as soon as you've seen a pretty girl, you're like, oh, she's so awful.
Yeah,
she's so mean. And it was like you always had to like dim yourself.
Yeah.
To not make other women feel uncomfortable, because then they would hate you.
Right.
And then you couldn't have any friends.
Right. I mean, yeah, but that comes so much from popular culture, like the media that we saw, the content on movies and TV and stuff. Like just because you brought up Mean Girls.
Right.
Like the prettiest girls in the school were the plastics.
I know.
And they were the
villains.
Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people cheered when Regina George got hit by a bus. That's horrible.
I know.
Like, I mean, obviously she actually wasn't very nice, but like, it was mainly just because she was pretty. Right. And they made her character horrible. Like they cast beautiful Rachel McAdams. It's just crazy.
It is crazy.
And I think it's almost like jarring for us now, or at least for me sometimes, to see the shift in movies and TV and stuff where like I told you about the Mean Girls. I said, they're just like not as pretty as I'm expecting, which they are pretty, but we were so used to like such a huge upper level.
Right.
And then, but that was also bad.
Right.
Like it was weird. It's so weird.
Or like we weren't really seeing different body types on camera or on film and TV. I mean, everybody was so skinny. Everybody was so white.
And it was like skinny is what you want, but it's also bad.
Right.
Like it's so bizarre.
I know. Like I feel like just like going through your 20s and everything, I feel like my like getting in tune with my femininity and like girlness has been such a slow process to get to the point where I am now.
I know. And I really feel for this girl because, and all the people in the comments, because I was looking through and so many said, like, I feel this way and stuff. I mean, it's hard. Like, I mean, there's so many other things we could bring up, but just being a woman and going through girlhood is hard.
I know.
And then if you acted or created a persona for yourself that maybe was never genuine, but you felt like you had to have it, or like this girl, it served her for a certain point in her life and now she's realizing I don't want to be this way anymore. I mean, it's hard if you spent 10, 15 years being one way and then to have to fully change and almost like reprogram yourself. That is tough.
It is tough. Even and then that same episode of Fluently Forward, not to keep bringing up another podcast, but she was talking about like, because she's a millennial too. And she's like, sometimes I really have to like take a step back and be like, stop thinking like, or like stop thinking so meanly about, you know, other women or like celebrities. Like, well, she's just bought. And she's like, wait, no. And she's like, listen, we came from the, you know, generation where like Perez Hilton is like just drawing all over celebrities in the worst ways. Yeah.
I know. I've been thinking about that a lot recently too. And I'm just will think this like horrible thing about somebody or be so judgmental. And then I rein it back and I'm like, but like that is just my point of view right now. And it's because of this, or this. And there's nothing wrong with what this other person is doing or what they look like or anything. But it's like we have to reprogram our way of thinking in some ways you just feel,
I know. You like have to be like, stop judging them. And you almost like keep it to yourself too. And just think about what that person might be going through. It's like you do kind of because we're so used to, I don't know, just being mean.
I know. I mean,
being mean girls.
I know. It's weird. We're just used to that being fine within pop culture. Like that's what it was.
No, and you didn't want to be Paris Hilton, like the ultra feminine skirts and makeup and everything, because she was like taken not seriously and she was just accused of being dumb. And
because even with Paris and Nicole,
I
think Nicole was almost a little bit more tomboy, like baddie coded.
Yeah, it was definitely more like that party girl.
Whereas Paris filled that ultra femme, you know.
Because even when you saw, like, just thinking of it now, like Paris and Nicole, like in their little short skirts and stuff and like the outfits, and you could tell Nicole was like a little bit more uncomfortable. Yeah. But that, I'm sure she, you know, since she was like a Nepo baby, she was used to wearing stuff like that anyway, especially going out. But the way Paris would like embody it, like I just wonder if there was like a discussion beforehand, like, no, we need you in like the skirts too, because it's kind of that just fills in with the character
for like their photo shoots and stuff. And but even when they would do that, I mean, Nicole went through that long period where she, you know, the time where everybody had like the chunky highlights, the super light, super dark, like she would always kind of have a little edgier of a look. And Paris was always so blonde and just pretty. but Nicole had that edge. And then, I mean, obviously talking about body type, like it didn't help that Paris was so thin and made Nicole, who I think if we would have seen her today, she would be totally normal. But next to Paris at the time, she looked
and then
chunky.
And then Nicole looked very, very thin, like from season 3 to 5. And then, you know, just like paparazzi stuff. But I'm sure it was hard. And I'm sure people were being awful to her.
I'm sure.
So, I know, it's interesting.
I know. If that girl pops back up on our feed by the
maybe
grace,
we'll see her journey.
I'll have to like something so that she pops up.
It is cool though, like sometimes when you're on TikTok and you do come across something like that, you're like, gosh, it's just nice to like that people are so willing to like share stuff like that.
I know.
And how much that one, like maybe there's like a 14-year-old scrolling and saw that.
Right.
And it like just really helped her in the way she was feeling or something.
It is so wild though, because when you talk about like the algorithm and everything, and then, you know, our For You pages are all curated, but like the fact that came up on ours, I mean, we're obviously in a certain demographic, but then all the people that also viewed it and commented, I mean, we all probably are from a similar age group,
right?
You know, whether we're like younger millennials or older Gen Z, like we're probably all like in that little pack,
right? And
it's just like there are a lot of us out there that this video found that have commonality. We're bringing the two generations together, bridging the gap.
I know, right?
It's just funny. When the People's Choice Awards happened, and I just kind of wrote, who cares? Because I didn't watch.
Did you see where Billie Eilish like made the comment
about all the TikTokers?
I was like, first of all, can we like just stop doing that to celebrities? Like, let them have some freaking private conversations. Rude. And like, I can't imagine if I was like in the grocery store, like having that like annoying conversation with my son, and then like look over and there's like a kid, someone's like filming, and I know nobody would care what I was saying, but I mean, we are kind of like at that thing, and you'd be like scrolling TikTok, and there I am.
I know, or even like, if it was at work, and you're like talking to a coworker, and then all of a sudden
it's like everybody is filming you, or like we don't even know what that full conversation was, where it's like maybe she was like, which table or something, and she's like, well, there's TikTokers over there, and then you know, like who knows what else. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like she was probably like, I mean, what's going on here? I don't
even like blame her that
I know.
much.
Well, and then it's like, it is kind of weird to see like because if you're like thinking of somebody like Billie Eilish, she's actually very, very talented. And like, you know, not that the TikTokers aren't,
but I think we can just call a spade, right? I mean, even I would loop in the YouTubers and that.
Right.
It doesn't, and honestly, even with podcasting,
right?
Like this doesn't take talent,
right?
This takes perseverance,
right?
And a personality,
right?
Like we are not talented because we bought this equipment and keep doing this every week. I mean, I feel like that's the same as a TikToker.
Right.
Like I would never put myself on the same level as an actress or singer.
Right. And like being good at makeup reviews is a lot different than like writing music for movies.
Or even like reviewing makeup versus being a full-on makeup artist. Like that's way different.
Right. And I think it is kind of, I don't know. And then I saw Bryce Hall was like, sorry we didn't acknowledge how amazing you are, Billie Eilish.
It's like Bryce Hall, really?
Shut up.
Like, come on.
Doopy head.
Like,
so, you know, no talent, not to be mean, but still, like, what are you doing?
For being honest.
Literally. And it's like, and it is crazy too. It's like, they don't have to have a talent. Like,
I know.
They don't have to sing. They don't have to act. I just wonder, like if I see freaking these people at the Oscars, I'm like turning it off immediately. I mean, they're at the Grammys.
They're at the Met Gala.
Yeah.
They're already destroyed that. annoys me so much. I guess this is also our millennial side, but after we just talked about how we need to think, but it is just so, these things used to be so special to me.
Well, even like what Emily Blunt, Emma Stone are there, and then Bryce Hall is there.
And I guess it's, how do these people relate to each other?
Right.
You know?
And I know like the People's Choice Awards is more like broad.
Whatever. Right. But it's still, they were at the Grammys and the Academy Award. I mean, they were at these things. So it's just like
walking the carpet.
If you are there and you're a TikToker and you have a, 5-time Grammy Award winning singer or producer, how are you even going to be able to fully relate? Like, I feel like the point of these award shows, besides obviously giving them recognition, is a chance for them to be together, people in the industry that they don't see that often, and having these randoms come in who, like, you're never like Brad Pitt will never work with a TikToker, right? Like it just won't happen. So it's just, I don't know. I just feel like you're changing the entire dynamic.
I know. And it's like you're trying to get like these young people or like the young
audience
to like watch and stuff. But I don't know. But then it's like these celebrities the A-listers aren't going to go to these things anymore because it's like, why do I want to hang out with the 18-year-old from Michigan?
Like, give them their own award show. Right. That's fine.
Or like the after parties, or even give them a microphone and have them out there like doing a job and like interviewing or something.
If they're good at that. I mean, that annoys me too, because we have seen correspondents that are horrible, and I'm like, how did you get this job?
But honestly, maybe I feel like Alex Earl would be a little more personable than some of the people they've had.
Very true. Very true.
But anyway,
I can't remember if we said this on the pod or not, but just remember the good old days of Juliana and Ryan.
I know.
I mean, they were just so good on the carpet.
And they actually had friendships with the celebrities and like build up a rapport with them.
Right.
And now they just, I don't know even really who they have doing it anymore. And they're not really even doing it anymore, too. So,
or, I know that they did have a lot of background knowledge on people and did their, studying and stuff. But they also had someone in their ear that was saying, hey,
this is who this is.
Yeah. And they have this coming up, or they're working on this, whatever. It almost feels like we moved to a time where that's not cool anymore to be informed on who you're interviewing. Right. And you just have to like be awkward and funny.
Right.
And really not even ask the person anything about what they're working on or doing.
Right.
And then you can't ask them what they're wearing anymore because apparently
it's not an intelligent comment.
Yeah, it's like
we can't just ask women what they're wearing. Like, I'm sorry, if I'm in Louis Vuitton outfit, I want to tell you about it.
If they dressed me,
like, can I tell you? But
yeah, I don't know. Times
it just gets so extreme that it just kind of takes the fun out of everything.
I know
everyone's so offended by someone asking what shoe you're wearing.
I know. And that was such a big thing for designers too. Like that was a huge plug for them.
You're wearing this, but you can't tell anyone
because they don't have to buy any of that stuff. It's like that was a huge deal. Whatever. Nobody cares. Nobody understands the fashion aspect. Did you see how MGK is? I don't know if he's planning on blacking out his entire body, but
he's hardcore, man.
I just obviously, like that is got to be so painful and so time consuming, but I just don't get the point of blackout tattoos.
I don't really either. And I don't know if like he's like I don't know. I don't really know how his mind works.
I mean, I thought that it did look a little cool how he had some lines that weren't blacked
like it
out.
Looks cool, but I guess like I don't know why you would do it.
Me either. And I don't necessarily want to like take this conversation to a unnecessary place, but it always gives me like a weird racial thing.
I know.
Like I feel weird about it.
Right. It's like just because it's not on his face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's fine.
I guess I just don't understand it.
No. And then it's like, what was the point of getting all those million other tattoos if you just covered it all
right.
up?
And like this is never coming off now.
No.
I mean,
I don't know what that's going to look like from laser removal, but we're not going to get rid of enough of it.
No, we're not. Anyway, yeah, I just saw that. Thought it was a little weird.
It's different.
But whatever. It's also like, I can't even imagine how much that costs, even though I know that cost is not a factor for him, but still.
And like, I guess I wonder even how that works. Like because it's so like liney, but they just kind of like color you in. Like,
do they use a different needle? You think?
Can they use like a bigger thing?
Yeah, like a paintbrush style.
They just go on it. That had got to take so long.
And it's kind of weird because like he had kind of chest up and then arms. So that is probably why we haven't seen him at a lot of things too, because
he's been working on that for months.
And he can't like, what's he gonna do? Like come out with it half done? Like that would look weird. And it probably has been painful recovery.
No, you probably I wonder if he'll like talk about it. Yeah, I just went into this like totally different headspace.
I don't know. It's freaking weird.
I sound like an old lady. Like, what
I just
do when you're old and you got those?
But
I never get a real job. Like he cares.
Maybe he can because it just looks like a full-on shirt.
Literally.
It's just one solid.
I wonder
color.
if you can like, do you still get like a sunburn or is that black UV burn? Why UVBs?
maybe that's the idea. Like we're injecting sunscreen also into yeah.
Hey, that's what it does. Or like, and that's
it.
You'd have to literally like douse it in sunscreen because it's gonna like fade, and it'll kind of like fade anyway. So you'd have to get it like all redone.
Yeah, like I was just gonna say too, if he did the left arm first,
right,
and then the right arm last, and he has it like chest up, and then he waits to do the torso, then the left arm's gonna be more faded. Yeah. But he didn't think that one through.
He didn't either. He thinks, he's just some young whippersnapper out here making these decisions.
Oh my God.
I was listening to, or Ashley Simpson was on Rachel Bilson's podcast.
Oh, I saw a clip of this, yeah.
And she was like talking about co-parenting. As if she wasn't talking about Pete.
Baby Pete.
She's like, it's going so good. It goes so good. Megan is amazing.
And she wouldn't say his name.
Well, no, she... Actually, I don't know if she said his name or not, but she said Megan and stuff. Like, it's like, we all know. Even sometimes Rachel Bilson will be like, my ex or my daughter's dad. I'm like Hayden Christensen. Like it's so weird. Like just say his name. We all know it.
Yeah,
like,
we know.
Unless he was like, don't say my name or something. I don't know. But yeah, when she was talking about him, I was like,
Pete.
So jealous.
Of course, he's doing amazing.
I knew she was young when they got married and when she had the oldest son, but she said she was 23 when she was pregnant. Like,
I don't think I realized that.
Is so well, and she was older than us, so it probably seemed old.
Yeah, because we were
I was like, dang,
middle school.
Well,
age.
Even Jessica got married to Nick when she was like 22.
That's crazy.
I know,
but they were so old. Preacher's daughters.
Yeah,
they
had to.
But would he have been like almost 10 years older than?
I know.
Well,
probably like
maybe
at
not
least
10.
6,
Yeah.
maybe, because I feel like he was like...
I don't think he was 30 at that point, but maybe. I don't know.
He might have been. Yeah, I do remember he was a little older, but just like thinking of that. And then she was like, I was pregnant when I was 23. And I was like, what?
Yeah, excuse me?
It was wild.
I keep forgetting that we have tickets to see them again. Like, I literally had to look it up like 3 times in my email to see when that concert is because we bought them months ago. We didn't really think that one through, but it's fine. Well, speaking of young pregnancies, we had another interesting conversation. Like, you brought up one part and then I had another perspective that kind of came through.
I know. And I just feel like this past like month, I don't know what it is about this month. Like, people just keep asking me if I'm gonna so many people, if I'm gonna have a 3rd kid. And it's like, my youngest is only a year and a half.
Yeah.
I just stopped breastfeeding 6 months ago. Like, I'm like, I don't know. And it's like, I want to, but I don't have like set plans. And it's like I just said, I'm only 30. I have so much time to have that next one. Like, why does it have to be done now? And there's like some things I want to do before I do that.
Because if you had another kid, then your life is kind of on hold again for a while, you know?
It's like your body, you know, for like a year is on hold. And then if you decide to breastfeed, that's like another year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 2 years.
That's a long time.
I know. I was thinking too, I'm like, this summer will be my first summer, or the past 2 summers where I'm not pregnant or breastfeeding. And it's like, I'd like to be able to run around with my son this year and not have to worry about like getting sunscreen on my chest and like just the annoying stuff. It's like, can I just like enjoy
can
myself
you like
for
just
a second?
get back to yourself and like enjoy yourself for a second
before I have to jump into like another kid.
I just think with that too, like, I mean, you live in an area, like you mentioned, where people seem to be a little bit older having kids.
Right.
It's more normalized. But where we're from, it's a smaller town. It's weird if you don't have 2 kids by the time you're 25, basically.
All 4 of them done.
Yeah, it's like, you know, a lot of people do that. And if that's what you want to do, that's totally fine. That's your prerogative, but it's not what everyone needs to do. But it's so crazy that so many people are just in this headspace where they think that that is the only way.
Right.
And like my one coworker, she was married younger, had 2 kids, and then she ended up having another baby like later in life. But so her oldest 2 are like teenagers, and then her youngest one is, I think, 4. So, I mean, that's a big difference. But then she's trying to get out in the dating scene, and she had made a comment like, you know, you guys know I'm also 30. I'm not married and don't have children. And she made a comment about her getting back out and dating. And one guy she had met on an app was in his mid-30s and wanted kids. And she said, well, if he wanted that, he would have had it by now. And like, I was almost...
Well, and it's like, too, anybody can just go find some rando and get... I mean, theoretically.
Yeah.
It's like... Sometimes maybe you want to like actually have a family or have like a loving and supportive partner.
Right. Or maybe you don't just want the kids. You want the kids family. With the person.
Right.
Yeah. So I was so like honestly like deeply hurt by what
like
she
offended.
said.
You're like, whoa.
That I just totally like didn't even know what to say. And so I just was kind of like, you know, or like he could look at someone who doesn't already have kids. Like I should have kind of like defended myself in a way or said how I was feeling, but I was so just like, and I didn't want to make it about me because it wasn't, but it's just, she kind of had that mindset. And then I told you she made the comment about a geriatric pregnancy and how all pregnancies over 35 are labeled like that is actually what they're labeled. And I'm just like, why would you make that kind of comment to me?
I know. And it's like, first of all, lady, they changed that. Yeah. I think I told you the late maternal age. That's what it is, because it's crazy to call women geriatric
when they're 35.
Like, oh God.
It's insane.
I know. Like, it's just so rude. And it's like, yeah, they're allegedly are more... Well, and it's like, it's so alleged too. Yeah. It's like, well, your risk factors go up. Well, they also go up if you're too young too.
Right. Or with other health complications. Or, I mean, you could be a completely healthy 29-year-old and have complications. Right. So, I mean, there's so many women that are in their 40s. I mean, like women that I like either know or am adjacent to who have had babies in their 40s.
I know. Two of my aunts, my one aunt had her last when she was 40, and my other aunt had her first when she was 40, and then had a second one. It's like,
it's just like
perfectly fine.
Yeah. I've just found her comments so weird. And again, like, I'm mad at myself because I should have said something. But then you just feel so like, and even with your thing too, it's like, well, now if I like say how I'm feeling, then I'm making it about me. And I know. Or like if
I like get really snippy, it's like when I'll have kids when I want to have kids.
Right.
Instead of, and then you find yourself like like even sometimes I'm like, yeah, probably not for like another few years, because I just, and it's like, why am I justifying myself to somebody? Like, they're not going to remember what I said.
And it's like, well, we want to do this, and that. Yeah.
And then you feel like you have to defend your decision as if you just saying this is how it is
not enough.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is how I feel. Done. But it's so hard to do that in the moment.
I know it is. And you just
like right now, like in hindsight, I'm like, well, you go tell her.
I know.
It's late maternal age.
I can have kids whenever I want.
I know. And I know this many people. Yeah, like I even was talking to one of my aunts too. I was like, because she kind of has like big age difference between all her kids, the one who had her last in her 40s. And it's like, I don't know. It just was like she probably maybe wasn't even expecting to end up having her last two. And then she married someone and they decided to have kids. And then they decided to have another one, and it was like, that didn't stop her, like her age. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just like,
and
crazy.
It totally depends with people too. Cause you do hear some stories where if a woman is older, like it might take longer, be more whatever. But then you also hear where, oh, no, we completely got pregnant by accident. Like, do you remember that one family? I don't know if you will remember based off of the description I give.
The vague description.
They went to our church and they were in our, like the kids were in school with us, but they were all older, big family. Related to another large family of 4 kids, one of which was in our class. A boy.
Okay.
Do you know him? Yes.
Oh,
but
like
his
family?
Cousins. Well, it doesn't matter. And sorry to everybody else. It doesn't even matter if we say names. But the mother, she was like, she had to have been like almost 50, I would say, or at least in late 40s at least, because her kids were all basically grown, like in college, and then they had like an accidental pregnancy. And so now her husband had just recently passed away and he was in his early 70s. I think she was a little bit younger, but that last daughter is either like recently finished with college or toward the end of college. So she's in her early 20s.
Right.
I mean, so it's just like there's no one cut and dry thing. You can't just say like, oh, just because of an age, then all this ends for you. And I almost feel like maybe it's just because of where we grew up, but we were like scared into that.
Right.
And
You're
some
like,
people are still perpetuating it.
And then you always felt like you had to be like a young parent too, because it was like, well, my parent was young and my grandma and grandpa were young. But then on my dad's side, my dad was not even old, but like older.
Mm-hmm.
And then his parents or his dad was like older, and they just had like older parents, and it's like, well, it's okay.
I think about on my dad's side, I mean, they just like had a bunch of kids and whatever. But also my Nana is 94 and my dad is like, oh my God, 57. And or 57 this year, I think. And I mean, he's the youngest.
Right.
But like she was older. I mean, that would have been in her late 30s and she had her last kid.
Mm-hmm.
And like with my grandma and grandpa on my mom's side, they were both in their early 30s when they had their first child.
Right.
And for that time, I mean, and my grandpa is 93. And so like for that time period, like that was really uncommon that you would be in your 30s and just starting a family.
Right.
But like they did it. So
it's like the way it worked out.
Yeah. And then my parents, I would say, were like, I mean, even a little bit older, like they were more in their like mid to late 20s when they had me. But it's just, I hate when our parents too would be like, well, when I was your age, I had, okay, well, sorry, I'm not living up to that expectation. I'm not married.
Right.
I'm not seriously dating anyone. I don't have kids. I know you had all that figured out by now, but like
times are different. And it's like, you know, we don't have to have kids when we're 14 anymore. Like we live a little longer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you made that point.
We have time.
People are living longer. You don't need to just rush everything.
No.
And you brought up the point too with like Joanna Gaines' book.
Where she literally said, I think it's 4 kids. She had like the first 4 early, all one right after the other. They were like really struggling financially and were like working so hard and didn't get to spend that time with their kids. And she's like, I don't even really remember much of their childhood. And then she ended up having her 5th kid later on. And she was like, wow, this is such a different experience. She's like, I have so much more patience. I get to like really spend time with this kid. And it was like, it was a little like, a
little sad kind of too.
Yeah. And it was like, but it was cool to hear that like honesty, like, man, I really, you know, got to really enjoy this last kid.
Yeah. But it is so true though, because when you have kids so early in your 20s, I mean,
and you're still growing up yourself.
And I just think like your 20s are such a whirlwind. And that's so easy for us to say now that we're 30, but we have so much wisdom.
I'm actually going to be 30 for the next 5 years, and then I'll be 31. So even when I have my second one, I'll probably only be like 32, you know? It's like, I'll still be so young.
I know. I'm like, I'm 30. And then I'm like, oh, wait, we're at the end of February.
My birthday's next month, and I'm still turning 30 again.
I'm 30.
I know, and I'm like, I've been treating myself too because it's my 30th birthday. I'm gonna get myself gifts. So anyway,
it's just, I don't really know where I was going with that, but just when you're younger and you have kids, like you don't really have things figured out. Like you are kind of struggling financially because you might not have a stable job or you're just starting your career.
Right.
Like it's just, and having kids is more expensive. So they say a lot of people, when you do have them later, you're more stable financially, just stable mentally, physically, like all throughout your life. And you probably do have like more to give to your kids almost.
No, I definitely feel like I was saying too, like even from my first to my second, I know it's like first child, second child, but I just had like so much, and I know it's like I said, the second time around, but I felt like I just had a lot more, like I felt more sure of myself as a parent. And I'm, you know, I don't know if I would have my first kid now but I feel like I would, because I've just changed so much from like early 20s to now. And like when I have that third kid, it's going to be even more.
Right.
You know, it's like, why not wait, you know, and just even like looking back at my 20s, it's like that was a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then to like think of like having like a 10-year-old now would just be like wild.
I know. And I think too, like, I don't know, like if you wait until you're 35, say, to have your next kid, wouldn't it be like kind of nice? Like your oldest will be a lot more independent.
Right.
Your second will be starting, like he'll be in school.
Right.
Like that.
And I'll get that time with that little one, and I'll get to start over again and have a cute little baby.
Yeah. And it'll just be kind of fun because then your first one will like grow up and move out and whatever. You'll still have your second for a little bit.
Right.
And then he'll leave. And then your third one you'll have for a longer period of time.
Like, oh, we finally got that next graduate. Yeah, it's like you really get to like, I feel like I'm getting to enjoy my kids.
Yeah.
And like even right now, like I'm really enjoying my kids right now. Like I feel like we're on like a good, for the most part, you know, like life path right now, like where I'm getting to enjoy my oldest. I'm, you know, like we've worked school into the schedule, and I'm really getting to enjoy my my 1.5-year-old because he's like doing all this stuff, and I just feel very balanced right now. And just to be like, oh well, I want a third kid, so let's just get it out of the way. Like I just feel like that would be such a disservice to them and to myself and to my family.
You don't need to do that.
I don't need to, so stop asking.
And you mentioned like to me previously about your house too. Like, imagine if you had to like worry about bringing another, like getting pregnant, having another kid here, and then you're stressed because you want to move somewhere else. So that accelerates your timeline. Right.
Or keeps us here longer, and then I don't have, because it's like, I got my little mood board, my 5 to 10 year mood board, and like I have a bunch of stuff that I like want at my house, and it's like I don't really want to sacrifice that. Like I want what I want in my next house, and it's like I rather take my time, like get what I want. Not to sound like a brat, but it's like
I mean, but you deserve it. Like, why not? You're working for it.
Right. It's like if this is what we want, and just like having another kid to have another kid when I could have my next kid in this house.
Yeah.
And it could be like their forever
and
house.
You can feel so much better about it too, because you're not like worried about the space or I don't have this. It would be so much nicer if we had this for the kids. Like no. And then if you have a third kid here, you'd constantly be like, oh, if we only had moved, like you would, I feel like you would
and
think
it's like
that
it's
all
just
the time.
Gonna get delayed, and then school, and then they'll get into activities where it's like,
and then you feel even more stuck.
I know. It's like we don't have time. And it's like we have to do like some work on both the showers, like in our bathrooms. It's like, and I want to kind of take my time doing that, and we have to fix our fence clearly, and it's like, you know, that'll probably be a summer project, and then maybe early winter next year or next winter we'll want to like work on the showers and stuff, and then sell that. Like we don't need to rush it. Like I don't want to have something that makes that rushed or delays it. So, anyway,
it's but bringing it back to what we originally said, it's just so frustrating when people that you maybe don't even know that well just feel the need to comment,
or just make such a like hard stance. And it's like she's totally fine to be like, look, I'm not having another kid. I already have 3.
My coworker,
but you don't have to be a meanie about it, because this guy, like, it's not that weird for a guy not to have a kid in his like. And you know what? It's kind of hard to find even a guy or a girl that doesn't already have a kid right now, that
especially
they had
in our area,
that they had young, and they aren't even with that partner anymore, and that's kind of sad too.
Well, because that brings in a whole nother thing too, and like, I mean, part of myself with like dating and just, I mean, I don't really put an effort in there, but like the idea of it, and I was with my one friend Sarah too, she's kind of in the same boat, but it's just like I don't judge people, but like I don't necessarily want to be dating or think about starting a life with somebody at this point in my life who already has kids. Like I would rather not do that.
And there's probably a lot of people like that too. I mean, it's hard out there.
And that just brings in a whole nother level.
And like my stepdad already had kids, and I mean, that was the exes and stuff. That's an intense ride. Sometimes
right.
It's not all like Pete Wentz and Megan and Ashley Simpson.
I know. It's like some co-parenting can be really hard. And I don't know, selfishly, like I would rather have somebody who's experiencing these things for the first time too, because I am.
Right.
And I just want to build that life with somebody together. If I was in my 40s, I mean, that would be a different story. I think it would be kind of unrealistic for me. Right.
Or even if they had like grown children and stuff, like that would be probably totally fine. Right. But like raising somebody else's kids isn't an easy.
No, it's not.
Thing.
Yeah, you
like,
just
it's not undoable, but it's gonna be really challenging.
Yeah, it's not always a super delightful experience.
No.
So yeah, it's just frustrating when people just make comments that are maybe they don't even realize that they're insensitive, but they are.
Sometimes I think about that. I'm like, are they not realizing that that's like my life, or like,
yeah,
and you're like just saying this stuff.
And I think if I would have said something to my coworker, she would have felt bad about it.
She would have been like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant for me. Or like, I'm going to judge, or if she's like, well, he still lives at home too, or like something.
Bring in
like
something
that.
else. Yeah, I know. And then that goes back to my problem where I don't want to intentionally upset other people. So I'm not going to bring that up. And
like, it's like, and then I get mad when other people like get offended by everything.
I know.
And then it's like, well, I can't then also be super offended. But sometimes you can't help it. And then you sit in your head and you're like, well, I should have said this.
Yeah, I know. And like, I literally stewed on that for like a few weeks. Like I didn't even tell you about it until yesterday. Like I just, because you brought up what you were saying about people.
And I had actually been stewing on that for a little bit. Just because it happened one more time and I was like,
enough is enough.
I know.
We're like so stupid. Like, why do we like...
You're like, and then you're like, I'm trying not to complain. I know. And then it's like just eating you up over and over and over again.
I know. And then when you brought it up, I'm like, okay. Now I can say this.
Wait a minute. You're not the only one going through this.
Oh, man.
Anywho.
Well, do you want to take a little break, or do you have any other hot topics?
I think we touched on them all.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a little break.
All right.
The temperatures are starting to cool down, and you know what that means. It is cookie making season. So instead of making your own cookie dough or going and buying that prepackaged stuff at the store that we know isn't super healthy, why not try something that is actually made with good for you ingredients? That is where dough comes in. These cookie doughs are ready to make right out of the tub, and you can also eat the cookie dough raw because it is vegan and gluten-free. The best part is that it's enhanced with different vitamins and supplements that can support your immunity or help stabilize your mood. We have tried a few of these different flavors, and we're always eager to try new ones. They are so delicious. We've tried the donuts as well, which are so perfect to put in your lunchbox for work, and we're going to be trying some of the delicious spreads that they have soon. So if any of that sounds good to you, go to Eat Dough. That's dough spelled DEUX.com and use our promo code WATERBOTTLE for 10% off. That's eatdough.com and use promo code WATERBOTTLE.
And we're back.
Thank you for staying with us after the... Oh, I meant to say this at the beginning, and I should have said it at the very beginning because now we're, I don't even know, 53 minutes in and nobody's going to listen this far. But I would just like to... I don't want to call anybody out. I don't even know who people are. But if you're leaving us a 1-star review, I appreciate you. But I would also love it. I think you would love it too. If you would also write a review with it and please tell us what you don't like about us. Maybe it's like something we can work on.
Right. Just like a little, even like if you're like, oh, I didn't like their laughs or something. It doesn't even have to be that deep.
Yeah.
Just like a bullet point.
Right. Or, here's a crazy thought. If you really hate us that much, maybe don't listen and don't leave a 1-star review.
Then there's that.
I mean, I was feeling very upset at the bizarre amount of 1-star reviews we have received. And I'm trying to go through and think of all the people who could possibly have some vendetta against either of us. And I guess I could think of a few people, but I don't think they would be listening to this podcast. So,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, and again, this is only based off of 11 reviews.
Right. But still, and if you are a listener, I can see how many people listen to our podcast each week, and there's more than 11 of you. So, like, if you have not given us a nice rating, like, please do. We would love to see some encouragement. We would love like a physical review on Apple Podcasts,
right?
Or on YouTube, comments, whatever. Just anything. So maybe I will edit this so it's at the beginning so people can hear it right away because they've checked out by the first hour. But yeah, we're coming up on almost a year of podcasting, and I would like to continue to do this. And I'm not saying that these 1-stars are making me want to stop, because I like the time that we get to spend together too. But it's definitely discouraging. Makes me feel kind of bad.
Guess we're just not likable.
I don't know what it is. I don't know. And I don't want to have to beg people to give us 5 stars. But if that's what I'm resorting to, if that's what we have to do at this point, I guess it is what it is. Like, what would you as a listener like to receive in exchange for
We're willing to bribe. Fanfic. We'll make it up for you and your favorite celebrity.
That could be fun.
That's what that Degrassi podcast is. Like, you'd give a nice review and then you tell it, like, if you want in a specific Degrassi character, and then they do like a little fanfic for you and read it on the pod.
We could definitely do something like that. Let us know, please. We don't want to be Debbie Desperados out here, but times are tough. Times are tough.
Yep.
Please support us. Anyway, now to the meat and potatoes of our podcast. Vanderpump Rules, and Hannah's going to try and rein it in because she's heated.
I was very triggered this morning, stomping around at work about people I don't know. Overall, the Bravo or like the network and stuff did this cast and this show such a disservice by waiting so long to put it out and filming so close after what had happened. Yeah. And I know they have their little schedule and all that, but they really hurt this show, in my opinion.
But you know what is, because I watch,
and so did the cast too, by nonstop talking about it off camera.
Right. I know that really was a big factor. But speaking of just like the timeline, I do watch the after show, and from what I've heard, that's filmed, about a month prior to when we see it, maybe even a few weeks. Okay. I don't know. So, I don't want to jump ahead too much here, but just thinking about that, like, Ariana is not backing down in the after show on any of her stances so far. So I don't know if she would have been all that different had we waited longer to film it.
Well, I think like just as a viewer, it's hard to watch it so far back.
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
And like to have waited so long, because like we said before, it's like now we're at a year at the start of Sandoval.
Yeah.
And it's just like they should have put it out sooner. And I don't know. They just made a bad call there.
I know. I agree. It's hard for me to watch. And we said this, I think, episode 1, the premiere, where like it's hard to get back into that mindset of, oh, wait, this was June. You know?
Right. And some of it is making me harder on the characters or cast.
The cast of characters.
Mixed up now and muddled. But it is making me feel more of a type of way too. I'm like, don't you remember this just, you just had those charges pressed against you. Sandoval just made those horrible foul comments to Ariana about wearing the t-shirt in bed. It's like hooking up with his little mistress or whatever while Ariana was away at a funeral. It's like, are you guys just like forgetting that? Like
these things literally just happened.
Yes. It's like, how can you even want to speak to someone like that? It's so beyond.
I know. And then just speaking about what's happening in present day, like we still are seeing the same resistance to change and, just ownership over actions by Sandoval. And
it's almost like insane. And more and more, it's like that New York Times thing came out at just a horrible time.
Horrible.
Like,
I know. We can touch on that a little bit. Before we started recording, I was trying to read through it. A lot of it was really just kind of a puff piece, a historical narrative, basically. And then, of course, he made the horrific comments comparing what he went through to that of George Floyd and OJ.
Like this interview took place. Did it say?
I just cannot.
Probably within a month or two.
I can't even think of a worse time to make that type of comment. I mean, it's Black History Month.
I know, and it was such a. And I don't know if he just didn't word it right. Like he's like,
how
why
else can you word it?
I know. Well, that's the thing. I'm like, does he meaning that this was so minor compared to those things? But it did not. He was like I hate to compare it, man, but like it literally is like that.
It's
like,
how can this is why, amongst so many other things, I know we throw this word out there a lot in general. But I think that he truly is a narcissist.
I know he is.
To make that type of comment and not think. I mean, to be that tone deaf and out of touch
is just crazy.
It's mind blowing.
He is so like he really thinks. I don't even know. It was like this mask came off of him, and just like. He's so hateful, and he's so like it's like I can't even wrap my head around this being the same person.
Now, because you just recently rewatched everything, watching it back with Sandoval on the brain, like did you see anything differently in him?
Okay, so there was a time when it aired. I think it might have been like I don't know, season 7 maybe. And him and Stassi was supposed to have this book signing thing. And she was going to have it at Tom, blah, blah, blah. She asked Schwartz and the other manager and did not ask Sandoval. And Sandoval was like rage texting her about it. And it's like, no, you can't have it here because you didn't ask me. And she's like, what? Like just like this, but why do I have to ask you if I already asked one of the owners? And he's like, well, we don't have any bartenders and I'm not doing it. And just so super petty, that really came out. Like, and I thought that at the time, and now we're in season 7. I was like, that was really like bizarre. Like it was just a bizarre Sandoval moment. But then when Jax and when Brittany had the cheating thing with Jax, with Faith and stuff, and the way he was yelling at Ariana about it. And he's like, why would you show it to her? She's like, it wasn't on my phone, you know, and stuff. And it was like, and she's like, fine, defend your friend. Bye. You know, and it was like that. There was like a little bit of that came out. And then now seeing the stuff with like even Kristen, where it was like mirroring what he was saying with Ariana, that was a little shocking too. But I don't know. I still feel like we didn't really see it. Like, I really do think when Stassi said the guys get the good edit, I feel like she was like,
that's what I was about to say too.
It. Like,
maybe there were things that were just edited out.
I know. And and maybe you can kind of keep it together for 2 months. Yeah. You know, it's like, but yeah, I mean, I really, except for those like couple of times
where the mask slipped.
Yeah, and we got like a little glimpse of like this weird thing, and it's just still so weird. I know I brought this up a million times, but when like the other characters were trying to tell us this was who he was, and we just weren't seeing
we didn't see it, we didn't believe it. Yeah,
I know. Or like, you're like, yeah, but you're also you know, mean and stuff.
But look at all the times he has been a good friend. Like, we justify it. Yeah,
we're like, but him and Schwartz are so cute.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah. We have a completely different view of that now.
Like, sorry, I'm just getting triggered. But even with the Schwartz thing, like the way he was talking, and again, I'm not saying Ariana is perfect, but like in the last episode where she was like being mean, like she was, but he was like helping this affair along. Like Sandoval said Schwartz's apartment was their safe place. It's like, how do you expect her to talk to you? And the way he's like, no, you're the problem. It's like, no, she's mad at you. She's hurt by you. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just really irritating me. It's like, yes, she's mad at you. Why would she not be mad at you? Stop calling her egotistical. Like, she's not happy with you facilitating this affair for the past whatever 8 months.
Understandably so. Like, how
it's like,
and I know that we're kind of going off on our own tangent,
but not to.
I know. But like Schwartz even said in the after show for this episode, and he keeps saying it, where it's like, you know, I'm guilty by association with this affair. It's like, nobody is saying that you were actually involved in the physical affair.
Right, like you weren't having...
But you were pretty much a co-conspirator. Right, like you were on the outskirts and knew what was going on.
I know.
And I guess, I mean, we talked about this at length too. Do I think it's Schwartz's job or place to expose this?
And with that, even it's like, and I don't think he's an evil person, but for him to like come back like that is just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's just, and I for a little while there, he was, you know, before they started filming again, he really was like, you know, I'm taking a break from him. I'm stepping, and I just think he should have maybe done a little bit more of that. I don't know if he's...
I know, and he like said he did, but I don't think he really did. I think Sandoval was doing his own thing, and that's why he was getting
there was a break, because he was gone. Yeah. I just, and then in the after show, I mean, I'm just kind of going through the bits and pieces of this episode, but like in the previous episode, they had talked about like Lala coming at Schwartz and stuff, and she's like, well, I want to clarify, like, I didn't mean that he should fully abandon Sandoval. I meant as a business partner. And I was just like, but that's not what you said at all, Lala. That's not what you said at all.
Lala is like...
She's a flip-flopper now. She's basically she's now. Like Scheana 2.0. Like, I'm more annoyed by her than I am by Scheana. Yeah, but it's just, it's like, well, that's not what you said. And if that's what you meant, then you need to choose your words more carefully.
My problem with, I feel like, I don't know. Do you want to go through the episode? Because it's like all good. Because they have that coming.
Through? I guess we should go through it. Okay.
Try to resist,
and we'll try to just not go off. Yeah. It is really hard. So it starts out where James and Allie are planning their little pool party, which is cute. It seems like they're both excited about it. And then we go to Katie and Ariana prepping for the pool party. I thought it was interesting how Ariana's like, oh, the Lyft driver that I had last
I know, that
night.
was wild.
That was crazy. She's like, he
Didn't
was
even know.
the Lyft driver that Tom and I had on the night.
Wouldn't it be nice though to like, how are they talking to each other?
I know.
Like, even if you don't remember what they said, like, did he seem really aggressive?
Right.
Were they just fighting both of them? I don't know. That would be interesting.
I know. It was funny how they were like, you have no idea how many people would love to know who you are.
I know, right?
I mean, yeah, he would be booked for interviews like no tomorrow. That was just a fun little, almost like a, not like a full fourth wall break, but kind of. It was like a peek behind the curtain a little bit. And then Ariana was countering that, saying that Schwartz was not being ganged up on at See You Next Tuesday, which, I mean, I think he was. Do I think everybody's points were valid in some way? Yeah. Do I think it was the right setting for any of that to go down? No.
When it's like, hey, we should all take a group trip together. It's like,
what do you expect?
I know, like, you're gonna be like, what are you talking about, you idiot?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Read the room a little bit.
Anyway.
I know. I almost wish I think for a group trip to be more successful, like that should have almost been a conversation that he just had with people like individually. I know. And been like, hey, what do you think about this?
That whole thing is like really produced.
Yeah, I mean,
so
we
it's
know.
Like
I know.
Really just not it.
I know. I really wish that we could be watching this with just like virgin eyes and not knowing so many things that we know about production and all that stuff. It would just be more of a pure experience.
I know, like something like that.
I wouldn't be thinking so much. Yeah,
like whatever, Schwartz.
And then I thought it was like just kind of annoying and stupid. Like, I get what she's saying, but I was annoyed by it. Where Katie was like, "I'm sorry, but I've got so much going on with this sandwich shop. I'm not going to leave that to go on a stupid little trip with Schwartz to Tahoe." Right. I'm like, please tone it down a little bit, Katie.
She is like not
like tone it down. And also, we know that while all this is happening, like Ariana's like doing freaking all these things, Dancing with the Stars. Like who was around for this sandwich shop? You know what I mean? Like it wasn't consuming their days.
Right.
And now also knowing what we know now, with the sandwich shop still isn't open. It's just like those comments. I feel like when she watches it back, they must sting a little bit.
I know. Well, that's kind of what happened with like Schwartz and Sandy's and stuff.
I know, so. But it's just because they also like gave them so much crap about Schwartz and Sandy's not opening.
Like, oops, and then, actually, it's not easy.
It actually is hard. Okay, then we go to this really uncomfortable meeting between Lala, Scheana, and Lisa. And we see that new dog donut, which was really cute. I just had to call that out. I thought the little nugget was so precious, and I wish I could just get new puppies all the time.
I
like
know.
Lisa.
I was literally, when I was watching that, I told my husband, I'm like, you're so lucky. We're so lucky we're not at that new house we want to get, because we would have way too many dogs, man. It's addictive.
I know. It's just, and her dogs are so helpless. Like she just holds them all the time.
Lets them drink wine out of the wine glasses.
So, and also, every time we see glimpses of Villa Rosa, I just am in awe. It is so beautiful.
It is a pretty house.
Anyway, and then things pretty much go downhill from here. So
I'm just like, I know I texted you about it in a rage. I thought that was so out of line.
It was.
Like,
it was completely out of line.
And I get what she's triggered by that situation, but to sit these two girls down who are already emotional messes
for various reasons,
them into almost like, well, if you guys don't stop, Sandoval might hurt himself.
Yeah.
It's like, and yes, they were talking about it and like profiting off it and everything and stuff, but he did
I know
the action, and it's like to put that on them was just
it wasn't
awful.
fair. It was completely inappropriate.
It was so just that really rubbed me the wrong way.
I truly don't think it was coming from a bad place from Lisa. Like, I don't think that she was meaning for it to like, oh, I'm gonna guilt them into that. Like, I really think that she was just so triggered by. But I also, I mean, I know this isn't, I've seen this narrative online, so like, I guess I don't feel like such a terrible person saying it, but I also do think that Tom Sandoval knows that that's going to trigger Lisa.
I know,
and he's using like, verbiage that and
it's like too, as assuming that he's probably a narcissist, he knows he's like, oh, I see other people talking about their mental health and that really works. Mm-hmm. I'm going to talk about my mental health. Right. So that really works.
And I'm going to go to the person that I know this will affect the most. And then she will disseminate it out to everybody else.
Like, and it just kind of felt like they were third grade classmates and the mom or the teacher was sitting them down.
Yeah.
And it rubbed me the wrong way too, because there's been a few times on Vanderpump where I've thought Lisa's been like really condescending to the cast, and I get like, she gave them their career,
right?
But they also
have built upon that,
and they've given her a lot too, and it's like this really like tipped me over the edge.
I didn't like that either, and I don't think that Lisa's like message behind it is necessarily wrong. Right. Like I like we said last episode, I think it's completely understandable that anybody in this situation would have some very dark thoughts and go to a dark place.
Right.
Especially because you created this situation for yourself.
Right.
At the same time, it's not like, and also like other people shouldn't want to be ganging up on that person either. Well, like, it's not right to just keep berating and going after. But honestly, like, I listened to all the podcasts.
Yeah, especially at that time last summer. Like,
I didn't personally, the stuff that I listened to from the cast and the interviews that they were on their own podcast or others, personally, I didn't think that anything was so horrible.
I know. And it's like, I get like you could, like, their influence is going to create the more mob mentality and stuff.
For sure. And but that's wrong. We've said that before.
Like, when you're not discouraging. But again, like, I also feel that way too. If anything, they went in on Rachel a little harder with that kind of stuff. Like, I felt like they did go in on Sandoval, but not.
But that's where
as far as castmates.
As even though I don't fully know how I feel about Rachel's full journey.
Right. And that's the thing too. Like, I'm not changing up the way I feel about Rachel, but I think the more we're seeing from Sandoval, it is, and I'm not taking her side or anything, but it is giving me a lot more clarity into the situation.
Right. And given this situation, if she truly was feeling in such a bad way, in such a dark time, she absolutely did the right thing.
Right.
Go and get help.
Right.
Do I think it had to be a full-on inpatient situation? You know, I mean, I don't personally think so, but who am I to say?
Right.
But like with Sandoval, I mean, I even wrote in here, like, did he even go to individual therapy? Like, was he doing that?
I know. Well, and he claims he is now, I believe. But it's but they're not. And I was thinking too, I'm like, are California therapists different than the rest of the world?
Well,
because
there's out there, it's a little bit more common to have a life coach, which is not a licensed therapist. But
maybe they're calling in a therapist. Because it just seemed like, I guess, even some of the stuff like Rachel has said, I'm like, are they really telling you that? Like, they're not like, I don't know. No,
I mean, even somebody who doesn't have any type of background in mental health can listen to some of this stuff.
Advice.
Like, I would never encourage you to do this. So I don't know. I mean, I agree with Lisa saying we've got to pull back the reins a little bit with how harsh our words are.
Because they had that conversation, if Sandoval would have hurt himself after that, that guilt, especially with like Scheana, would have just been
crushing, absolutely crushing.
And I'm, like a little conflicted on Scheana right now, but I think that was
wrong. And
no one deserves that.
When Lisa talked to Tom last episode, I mean, the first thing she should have said was, and maybe, we don't know how the editing is, right? But she should have said, are you seeing a therapist? If you're having these thoughts.
I know, not you're supposed to come to me.
Yeah. And I mean, so then also watching the after show, I think I wrote something about this. Yeah. Like they were even saying it should not have been placed on them. Like we just said, if Tom should have himself sought help. If he felt like he wasn't in a place to do that, like sure, reach out to Lisa or Schwartz or something. And then they should have then helped him get help. Right. Not just, we need our friends along. Like that's not how people truly get out of dark times, depression, thinking about self-harm and suicide. Like, again, we didn't say a trigger warning, but if you watch the episode of VPR, you already know what we're talking about. But it's like, that's how you get out of these things. Seeing a therapist, potentially getting on medication. Like, that's at least how you do it.
Dang effort.
Yeah, it's not just, I had these dark thoughts and then I did nothing about it. And like, I think in a little bit later on, didn't Ariana say, like, well, then he gets brought in back to the fold or he gets invited to parties and he'll be all happy again. Yes. I mean, I truly think, Yeah,
he is trying to, even with like the previous episode where he's like sitting out with Scheana and the thing and he's trying every little manipulation tech.
Yeah.
Like, are you like Shania Twain?
Right. Yes.
Like trying
knowing
to relate
what
to her.
Say.
And then he does like, I can't even remember what they were, like 3 different attempts to like, see, I'm not that bad. I'm still the same old guy, It's like he is trying to weasel his way back in. And I was like, obviously he's going to try, but it's like then there's still no accountability.
And it's just really hard to just in their position to feel so guilty or to have sympathy when he could have been in a totally dark time and been hiding that from people, but outwardly he's going
awful.
Out on tour.
I know.
He's saying these horrible things.
You don't look like you're having any depression when you're up there singing and being a lunatic.
Obviously, we're not so naive to think that there's always going to be signs for stuff like that. There isn't, but it's just, it's just kind of ridiculous to now come out and play that card and be like, well, I was feeling this way, like I was in such a bad way, and like it's like, okay,
you didn't say anything and again, like he doesn't have to say it, but it's like you didn't say anything about that on Special Forces.
No, you didn't. And I think what hurt Lisa from last episode too was that she said to him after the reunion, like, if you do get in a bad way like that and you're having dark thoughts, please call me. And she was being a lifeline and trying to be there. And like he then kind of slaps her in the face and says that now that months later, now that they're filming that, I was that way. And she's like, well, I said I was going to be there for you. And then even Scheana saying, I did reach out when his friend passed and he blocked me. It's like, what do you expect people to keep doing?
It's like this weird begging game when you're like on cloud 9 at your shows. You also just
can't. It's totally wrong to keep berating somebody and kicking the dog when it's down and all that kind of stuff. It is. And I hate the gang mentality that we often get into within social media and everything. It is wrong and it can be very damaging to people, but it's just like you can't continue to push people away and then get mad when they weren't there to continually support you.
Right.
When like you hurt them in so many ways and then kept rejecting the help or not accepting the help. It's like people can't be the ones to save you. You have to be ready to do that yourself too.
Right.
You know? But also Scheana said in the after show, she said, and I don't remember if this was something that we knew before, but like years ago, she said that she had a friend who did complete suicide and she had talked to them like that day before, a couple days before. Mm-hmm. And I guess they went through something that like they kind of, she said, well, you made your bed, you kind of have to lay in it.
Right.
And then they ended up, you know, taking their own life. And she felt like very guilty about that for a long time. And then Lisa saying this to her, like it brought up a lot of emotion.
Right.
Scheana.
Of course it would. That's why Lisa should have never said that or had that conversation with them. It was just so wrong.
Right. I do think then going on to the pool party where Scheana tries to bring up her feelings, and I mean, with Katie and Ariana, it's definitely falling on deaf ears because when they hear any sort of thing that seems like it could be sympathy towards Sandoval, they instantly turn off. But like, I don't think they were considering how like that, like why Scheana was getting so emotional about this. Like, I don't think it was purely just like, oh, I want to be friends with Sandoval again. Like, I think she was thinking about this previous thing, just the full-on gang mentality in general. Maybe we do need to stop, you know, doing episodes about it or whatever. And I mean, Ariana was very quick to like shut that down and not even entertain what Scheana could be feeling.
Yeah, I guess I kind of like come at that a little. I mean, now I do know, now that you just said the Scheana thing and like,
but we wouldn't have
Lisa,
known that in the episode. Yeah.
But I think and again, I'm not even saying that like Ariana's like I'm on her side or anything like that, but like it would be really confusing for me.
Yeah.
If I was Ariana and this person who just said like, just like a month and a half ago, just like horrific things to you. Again, like sleeping with someone while you're gone for a funeral and they don't come with you and they have someone in your house and they're hooking up with them and lying about this whole thing. Like, I guess if I thought Scheana was my friend, and also Sandoval corroborated Rachel's story about the assault.
Yeah.
That it's like, I wouldn't understand why at that point she would need to be friends with Sandoval. And like also Scheana was all over her own podcasts and Ariana was not doing that. Talking about Sandoval and stuff. So I don't know. Then when Ariana was like, you know, because he's going to weasel his way back in and then he's going to have no accountability basically. So I totally got what she was saying with that.
In the moment, I do too, because like for her in that moment, because it's going to look bizarre.
Right. And I don't think Ariana knew that until like kind of in that moment where Lisa had guilted Lala.
Yeah.
And Scheana about it. And I think she might have reacted a little bit differently or like said different things.
Yeah.
Like, why are you letting Lisa like make you feel guilty or something? I would think.
I think it's also like, you know, since we don't have those deep emotions like in the moment like they do. This obviously didn't happen to us, although it feels like we are involved. It is, and then we see the after show versus what's happening on the show, and it's like it's easier for us to like look at it from like a Eagles perspective, where it's like, of course, Ariana could have or should have been like, Scheana, why is this making you so emotional?
Right.
This is what Sandoval did. Why are you going back to him? But in the moment for her, she's just like, what the heck?
I know. Like did you not? Yeah, I guess that's why I see why Ariana like freaked out there. Because it wouldn't make sense to me.
It totally wouldn't in the moment. And I think that Ariana is justified in kind of looking at it in only her one lens.
Right. Well, and it could also be like confusing too. It's like, didn't we all like, you know, like a month and a half ago sit at that reunion and rip on these two? And now all of a sudden Lala's like, I'm going to reach out to Raquel.
Right.
And
I mean, that was
Scheana, I'm going to reach out to Sandoval. And I mean, I guess that would be really strange.
But it does make me wonder what, from the after show thing too, it does make me wonder what the relationship between Ariana and Scheana is.
Yeah, I wondered that too. But also it's like, if you're going to, again, like all that horrible stuff he did to Ariana, and then one of your friends is still going to like pursue a friendship that soon afterwards. Not saying that, I don't know if it could like never happen again, but just that soon afterwards. I mean, that would definitely make me not trust that person.
Yeah. And it is difficult too, because I think that there is a difference between just easing up and not going so hard on somebody versus actually bridging that and having a friendship. But I don't think that was communicated well.
No. You know, and I don't even know if Scheana knew exactly what she wanted there either. So it would be, I don't know.
Either. Yeah. But on the after show too, I think she had said, I think it was about the friend thing. And she's like, well, you know, this is why like there's some people I don't really open up to about stuff like this. And that's Katie and Scheana. I don't tell them these types of things because like probably just over the years too. And then just little comments that she's made before, like, you know, well, they don't, like Ariana and Katie don't really reach out and it just makes me think that they're not a genuine friendship at all. Like Scheana and
but I do feel like that's like a reoccurring thing that Scheana says. Like, I think Sheena's just the type of person who expects a lot of emotional support from friends, because she's had this conversation throughout the years with everybody. So it's kind of hard to tell with like Scheana, which, like, is she genuinely feeling like what? And then it's like, then on social media now you see that she just went to Ariana's shows and was like at Dancing with the Stars. So it's all kind of like confusing as a viewer.
But it can also be like Scheana is that kind of more people pleaser.
Right.
And I could definitely see where she is maybe thinking the more I put in, the more I'm going to get out. And that isn't the way relationships and friendships work all the time. And, you know, maybe they can be more like surface level or social friends, but that deeper connection, it doesn't seem like you're going to get that. That's fine. But like, you know, maybe from her end, she needs to learn to stop setting such high expectations that she knows are not going to be fulfilled by certain people. Like, you're setting them up for failure. And then it's like, you know, where you put yourself in that situation. Well, I do all these things and I do that, but I don't get it back. Well, I mean, you have to kind of,
or it's like you choose to go do this stuff.
And you know you're not going to get it back.
And it is like, it is complicated and it is it's very confusing as a viewer too. It's like, I don't know where you stand with this person, that person, this person.
And we don't see it all.
Right. And I guess like Sheena's not all, and I'm not even saying just in this situation, but I mean, she was pretty awful to Katie last season. So it's like,
she was.
Not that Katie hasn't, you know, those two haven't gone back and forth throughout all the seasons, but it's like you actively saw how hurt Katie was by you pushing this Rachel Schwartz thing and like then disinviting her from the wedding, which, you know, it's like, you're not
like
the best person either. So it's like, I don't know. It just.
They actually, on the after show, it was Lala, James, and Scheana together. And, like, they actually got in kind of like a little argument. I might have seen I saw it online.
Yeah, like between Lala and James, kind of really.
Yeah, because they were just, you know, Scheana is saying how it was difficult for her with the Sandoval stuff from in a different way because he was her best friend for so long too. And then James was basically saying like, or Lala and Scheana were like, well, you knew him before you knew Ariana. And then James is like, well, does that even matter now? And then Lala, that's when she went in on James. I personally don't think it does matter now.
No, and it's like, would you know him for like a year because you worked together? And it's like, why did you become so close to Sandoval? Because he was close friends with Ariana, or he was dating Ariana. And that's why you guys are so close now.
Well, but honestly, the only reason why they became friends was because she didn't have anybody else that wanted to bring her in. And he was like, hey, let's do it. And much like when you have a betrayal in a romantic relationship, I think it's the same and sometimes more hurtful in a friendship because, you know, you look back on all these times that you had. And I guess for me, it's hard to like think that Scheana isn't looking back and reflecting on all these times with Sandoval and thinking, well, was that disingenuous? Was that a lie? Was that a facade? Like I would be thinking our whole friendship was not what I thought it was. Right. And I don't know if I would be so quick to entertain bridging that.
I know, it's really interesting the way, and it's like, I hate to even be like, Scheana and Lala sound a little bit jealous, but they kind of are coming across like, why are they taking, and again, you shouldn't even really have to take sides. And like I said, I'm not taking Ariana's side or anything, but it just seems so bizarre that you would be so like, you're going to die on the hill for Sandoval's
it's a weird
friendship.
Thing. But then on the other side of that, it's like, we know that they are filming a show. Right. What's going to be the best dynamic? Right. Everybody kind of getting along. So I have to wonder if they've been doing this for so long, if that's on their mind in some of these scenes too.
I know. I guess it's just weird to hear, kind of like, it does feel like a little switch up. Like all of a sudden they're like mad at Ariana because she doesn't want to be around her miserable. And it's weird too. And I know we're like coming at it from the future, but even in the after show, it's like, do we not see how Sandoval is talking?
I know.
Like just that and alone, like that is not a person I want to be around. No. Like once he does some serious work and reflection, maybe he can come back from it, but I wouldn't even want to have anything to do with him.
I know.
Or even like that time where, what was it? Oh, Nick Viall was asking Schwartz, like, would you hook Sandoval up with someone you cared and loved? And the way he danced around that conversation was like, no, are we talking about the same
like
guy?
Come on.
But anyway,
at the same time, I don't think it is fair for Ariana to also dictate like who, I mean, that is totally her choice, right? Who she doesn't want in her life and who she does. And there are definitely things that she is doing or way she's acting that I don't necessarily agree with, but I can see where she's coming from. And if I had to say I'm leaning toward any side, obviously it's towards hers in this situation. But it just is weird because, you know, on one hand, you're like, well, I mean, there are plenty of people on here who could have just left the show if they didn't want to be around people. And they chose not to, because why would they not stay on this show? And that's what it's like frustrating me, because I always have that in the back of my mind. And I wish I could just like push that away and think, nope, this is all 100% real life. Nothing is produced. Right. And I would just not have so many facets to this. Right. Anyway, back to the episode.
It's just too much. Like, it really is just too much.
I know. I thought it was really funny when we go to the pool party and Schwartz brings another plant to James and Allie. This is like the third plant. He's obsessed with plants. And then I thought this something about her pool float was so cute. They're just having fun, hanging out. We already kind of talked about some of the stuff that happens with conversations with Ariana and Scheana. We flip to Sandoval and Billy Lee going to
boring.
This is what just annoyed me about this. They go to a cold plunge place to handle his emotions. Like,
It just
as
felt
some sort of
staged.
therapy.
I
But
know,
I'm just like,
staged,
are we
yeah.
setting this up that this is supposed to be helpful to him? Because it's
No.
not. Going into a cold plunge.
And literally, like, just stick your head in an ice water or whatever.
Like, that was just so dumb to me. Like, that made me so mad. Go to therapy.
Well,
Don't go
no.
to a stupid cold plunge.
Because he's not ready to not be this crazy broken villain.
No, he wants to be dramatic and dunk his head under the ice cold water for like 30 seconds and flip his hair up. Like, that was just so annoying to me. And that whole thing was stupid. And then later on when Billy Lee's like, well, are you thinking about dating? Literally after he said, it's been 3 weeks since I didn't have conversations with Raquel, who I love. You're going to seriously ask him if he's ready to date? Like, get out of here, Billy Lee. I am but also I'm just like so tired of her. I don't want to see her on our screens anymore. Go away. You don't belong in this realm anymore. Anyway, going back to like the nice pool party, Schwartz and Lala had. Before that, Lala asks Allie if she can talk to James about why he got sober. I thought that they kind of set that up a little bit to include the like abuse allegations.
I know. I felt like that too, and I was actually like a little bit. Well, and here's the thing too. Maybe because I was kind of thinking too. I'm like maybe he like threw something and didn't necessarily like beat her, but I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I don't even know what to think, to be honest.
I don't either. I just didn't really like how that was. I mean, obviously that was totally set up, that conversation.
I was like a little annoyed with like, stop inserting yourself into everyone's sobriety unless something major is happening,
or they come to you,
right? Instead of like and it almost felt like Lala knew something that like the viewers didn't, and it's like I don't know. I felt like that too about the abuse thing. I'm like, okay, so something did happen,
right? And then just how
probably happened with the I don't know.
Just how they had Allie be like, well, I'm not gonna speak on that,
right?
It's like, who told you to say that?
I know. It felt like a little bit alarming. I don't know.
But also just totally like just set up like staged. Like, right. I don't know if that was genuine either, because I just don't know.
I know. I don't know what to think about that.
I'm just going to wait this one out. I don't even want to comment on
an opinion on it yet.
So then Lala also has the moment where she is apologizing to Schwartz and having a heart-to-heart. I thought this was nice, but I'm honestly getting so frustrated. Like, I know that Lala's going through a time of change, and I appreciate her reflection, but it's just like, this is like what I said before with like, how long can a friend continue to be a friend? Like, how many times can you have somebody yell at you and scream at you and go so in on you so meanly, and then turn around and be like, I'm sorry for what I said?
I felt like this conversation was very like, I don't even know what the word would be for it. Almost like PR-ish. Like, it felt really disingenuine, because it's kind of like, well, see, like, we're growing and maturing, even though just 2 months ago we went in so hard.
Each other's faces off.
Literally. And like, oh, we're not like Ariana and or Sandoval, because they're just so negative.
We can talk this out. Yeah.
And it's like, no. And it was really kind of like, I just wanted to be like, I wish we could have seen you talk that way to Katie Schwartz. And it did made me think of when Ariana and Katie weren't getting along. I think it was around the time of their wedding, or time of Katie's wedding. And he was so like, no, you suck, Katie, Ariana. And Katie made the comment. She's like, well, maybe if I was really skinny and blonde, maybe my thoughts and my feelings would matter. And then when I'm like looking at Lala, I'm like, and he's like, you're gorgeous.
Yeah, you're one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life.
I'm like, oh, she's skinny and blonde, so you're listening to her. Like, I thought I was getting like so annoyed by that. I was like, dude,
that is annoying.
And like, I just am very polarized by Lala, but Lala kind of making these comments about Ariana, like being kind of like petty and stuff. Like, when I listened to Lala's book, and there was a time her and Randall broke up or like were fighting. She shoved her toothbrush up her butthole, threw his clothes out the balcony window at a hotel. Like, just totally, like, I can't even, like, for that person to sit there and call someone out. She's called Rachel dumb for 5 seasons.
Yeah,
she
in
told
multiple ways.
She told a trans woman that she was not exciting to look at. She headbutted Kristen Doty.
She's commented on people's weight.
It's like there's so much. I think she has some kind of like personality.
I mean, some of it is flip. I think it's just.
Well, she only she can only give sympathy or care if it personally affects her.
I did like what she said in the confessional where she's like, I have to stop wearing my trauma like a badge of honor. I mean, I do like this is why I feel so conflicted with her, because on one hand, I can totally see it, especially from like a mental health standpoint. I see how these things have affected her, how she has put guards up, and these have been coping mechanisms.
It's like, why is she the only one that's allowed to act like that?
I agree. It's almost, it's like I can see it, but it doesn't excuse her behaviors. And it makes it really infuriating when, like, you know, in this one day prior, you're yelling at Schwartz about whatever. And then all of a sudden the next day you're like, I'd like to apologize. I really wasn't thinking. And, you know, last year when we had that screaming match in that busy restaurant, I was not considering what you were going through. And it's just like, we've heard this even in recent months with her so many times, her backtracking about how she talked about Sandoval, backtracking about how she talked about Rachel. It's like, it's just, I get whiplash with it. And it's like, you know, if you are truly growing and making steps, I know. Well, I'm not fully seeing it in the moment.
Or I'm going to have to see it longer than just you randomly kind of being, well, and then it's like, it's just the her profiting off of the Sandoval too, but then she's mad at Ariana for profiting off of it. Yeah. And then when I saw that clip too, where she's like, you know, I wouldn't have a leg to stand on if I went back to the house with Randall after I told you.
Ridiculous.
I'm like, what are you talking about? You didn't own anything. Well, I shouldn't say didn't own anything with Randall, but that wasn't your house. Yeah. Ariana's 50% owns that house. It's not, she can't just walk away from it, Lala. Like, you can't just walk away from a house you're on the freaking mortgage on. It was just,
I know.
So, and again, it's like, you're saying you're not going to wear your whatever trauma as a badge of honor. And then, whenever they filmed the after show, you're going in on her again in your aggressive way. You told James to suck a D. Yeah. It's like,
and to F off.
Yeah.
And then literally, response? We obviously don't know like when the sequence of how the after show was filmed, but that happened going in on James. And then like the next scene, they're like all laughing together about something as if like, oh, well, that's just Lala. We got to move on.
I know. It's like, no, that's exhausting.
Yes, that's exactly what like as a viewer, it's exhausting. So I can't imagine what it feels like as a friend.
Right. Yeah. And to have like the constant blowing up.
So I thought it was like,
I didn't believe it.
I liked the conversation that they were having, but I didn't like how we got there. Like, why couldn't you have just had that conversation without all the explosions? And
it's just like, I should probably make myself look good this season.
Yeah, like that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like she is on a little PR turnaround here. She's like, I have to be softer. Like it's kind of relating to what we talked about at the top of this episode with like the baddie and like, well, that's not really serving her anymore. The anger, the aggression.
Like, maybe I should be softer.
But yeah, I don't know. And with the Schwartz stuff, I agree. With him, it's like, I feel like I feel a little bit more of a genuine feeling with like his growth versus Lala, because I'm continuously seeing her repeat these bursts of major aggression with people. And I just feel like with Schwartz, he does it in a different way that it's almost like you replay stuff and you're like, wait, but that was underhanded. Wait, that was a hurtful comment.
Right.
Wait,
like,
you know,
yeah, well, I guess with like Schwartz, he's not like screaming at the top of his lungs, but he's definitely, I mean, even in that fight with Lala, I thought she apologized too much. I thought he was way more in the wrong in that fight.
Oh, I thought he was too.
So it's like,
yeah, was, and honestly, I kind of forgot about that fight. I mean, just because it was the least of our worries after what happened later.
Yeah, I just don't like the way he speaks to women sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just full on immaturity. I don't know. What else was saying? Oh, Tom made a total martyrdom comment to Billy Lee about how he's saving himself for Rachel, which was just dumb. I don't even want to talk about that because it's so stupid. We already talked about how Ariana talked to Scheana in the pool. We went through that. And then they had the funny part where the grill was like catching on fire and James was like chugging a CBD drink or whatever. While Lala and Allie are having a conversation about it. Yeah. So then we go to James over at Lala's and they're talking about, he gets into why he stopped drinking, but he doesn't like fully go into it. But basically it was just he and Allie were fighting a lot because of a lot of the stuff surrounding Sandoval. They were both drinking at that time. And then, you know, things kind of just got to be too much and she left and he was kind of left in the ruins and was like, wow, this feels horrible. Like, is this going to be my life? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it just seemed like there's a little bit more to the story there. But for me right now, regardless of what it is.
I know, I'm kind of like on hold right now with that.
He just... If anything else comes out, you know, we might change what we're saying, but he seems to be on a good path now,
right,
with his sobriety, and I think that's great for him. And then we have this annoying scene with Schwartz and Joe, and he kind of admits to some sort of romance, which we basically already knew that happened, even though he denied it. I was so disgusted of how she was just cutting his hair and it's going all over the floor. And then Sandoval comes in the door and I heard Riley from Turtle Time say this too, but I thought it was going to be Katie that walked in. Like I thought it was going to be Katie, but it was Sandoval. And then they're like, oh, is this your pubes on the floor? And then Joe's like, oh, let me just sweep this up and put... Did you not throw it away? It sounded like she just pushed it over in the corner. Like, yeah. I'm so disgusted by that.
I don't know. That I did not want to. I don't know.
It was just gross. It was so gross. We'll see. And then he goes and tries to like invite Sandoval to Tahoe. Again, he's trying to like tone him down with how immediately Sandoval is triggered and kind of gets aggressive and defensive. And then
showing his true colors.
Yep. And then this is where I wrote the note. Is he in therapy? Because it doesn't seem like it.
He claims he is, but
he definitely is not. And then I thought it was kind of funny too, like through that whole conversation, Joe kept trying to like put in her 2 cents. Like at one point when they said something about like, Schwartz was recounting his conversation with Lala and she's like, I love that. And like, they just completely kept talking over her and they like she tried to say stuff like another time or two and they just completely ignored it. I don't want to hear from her. I'm sorry. Like, do you? I don't.
It's weird when they bring in these people that we hear about and then you like see them and you're like, I don't understand. Yeah. Or like, I just don't understand the appeal of like these other people in their lives.
She seems, this is a little judgmental, but she seems like almost a more annoying female version of Schwartz.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I could see that. Maybe if like a Schwartz was a woman, that this would be the version of Schwartz.
Yeah. And it was just like the stupid way that they kept like saying words that were just like
it just felt
childish and dumb.
Yeah,
and,
it just felt like we're just trying to be funny. Yeah.
That's just so funny when it's just not. It's dumb. And if one person is doing that, if Schwartz is doing that, I can look past. But now when I have two people doing it together, I want to rip my ears off.
No.
And then Brock and Scheana are going out again on a double date with James and Allie. Sheena's still going through her issues with just feeling comfortable with leaving Summer Moon at home with a sitter. So they bring that, what's that girl's name again? Tori. They bring her in, but that was not enough. We also needed to bring in Sheena's sister, Courtney, because mom was not available. And then, I don't know, I didn't really have a lot of highlights from the dinner. It was basically just talking about kind of easing up on Sandoval and how's Tahoe gonna go. And James was very quiet over in the corner because I don't think he agrees with.
I know. I feel like he's actually kind of restraining himself on that not like the bush peen part, or like if he doesn't have Sandoval straight in front of him, I think he's
not saying too much.
Right.
Yeah. Which honestly, I think that might be a good move. All in all, I think I know. I kind of I think it's a good move. Especially when he's in a situation where it's like he knows Brock, Scheana, and Allie aren't necessarily going to quote unquote be on his side.
Right.
It's like, well, I'm better to just not say anything at all. And then I was shocked by this ending. I don't know why. It was so dumb. I should have seen this coming.
I didn't see the dog thing coming either. I guess I don't know when it was coming.
I had it in my head that it was happening in Tahoe. And like she comes out and has Graham, and it's like this beautiful moment and such a surprise. I don't know why I thought that.
At first, when I saw this scene, I was like a little bit irritated because I feel like she really blindsided him.
Oh, she 100% did, I think.
I just feel like that was like, I get why they did it on camera, but I felt like that has such a deeper emotional meaning that I felt really like at first I didn't like it, but I know, like when I took a step back, I'm like, I think he was really happy that it all happened, but it was just such a vulnerable moment that I wish wasn't on camera.
Well, I don't think that James isn't necessarily one that is crying and showing a ton of emotion.
Well, I think he kind of does, but
like, I just don't feel like that's not something that he is like putting himself fully in situation, like, or I guess what I'm meaning to say more is like he's prepared more for those moments.
Yeah,
he wasn't prepared for this one,
and I kind of didn't like that.
Yeah, I mean it made it more real.
It did, but it just felt, it was just so, like he had no idea that this had even happened to the dog, and for the dog to be just like there, I mean, overall, I thought it was still a happy thing because they're reunited. Right. And he was obviously very happy. I think if he could have produced that himself, he would have done it in a different way for sure. But, now he has Hippie and is super happy. And they don't say the GC word anymore, he said. Yeah. Grum cracka. But it was really cute. And even on the after show, he's like, I 100% did not see this coming. Like, I was so thrown off, and like he's like a different dog. I know. Now, I guess like I'm just like trying to think of like if I didn't have my dog anymore, like it went missing and then somebody brought it back. Like that would be the most vulnerable moment ever to happen. Yeah. I just feel like that'd be horrible to have it like on camera like that. I guess, I mean, they've also all been through a lot of horrible moments on camera too that maybe they weren't prepared for. So I guess like, I don't know, they're a little bit more used to stuff like that. But also being this season 11, it's like
they're probably not expecting those types of things to happen because they're more seasoned and like they do kind of talk about what scenes are going to be. Like he literally said, I thought we were going to talk about Sandoval. I didn't know we were doing this. So I don't know. I mean, I get like, does it fully matter to him at this point that played out on camera? I don't know. But it was cute that he has little hippie back. And then on the after show, Ariana, I don't know if this is again taken out of context, but she was like making kind of a snide comment about the dog. And she's like, well, I've seen like a lot of points of aggression with the dog in the past. And, you know, I mean, like I wouldn't take something away from the dog or take food or anything away because of growling and whatnot. And I think her experience with Graham, previously Graham, was with Rachel / Raquel at the time. And, you know, maybe things were different then. I don't know how often she's around the dog now, if those things are still happening. But like from what we are seeing, and obviously they can choose to put whatever they want on social media, it doesn't seem like the dog is that way anymore. And Allie even said on that interview with Scheana that like she was genuinely worried about how he was going to react with like their cat and stuff. And even on the preview for next week, we see that there's some tension and concern there. But obviously they've moved past that because they still have Mr. Banks and Hippie. So I don't know. Oh, the one thing I wanted to say from Watch What Happens Live, Schwartz was on last night.
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, you did? I thought Jenna Dewan looked amazing.
I know. She's a pretty gal.
Did we know she was pregnant?
Or I did, because I would kind of creep on her a little bit.
Okay. I couldn't remember if like that was announced.
It was.
Okay. It just, I guess I hadn't seen her and she had like a full belly and I was like, oh my gosh. But when he said that he had talked to Rachel before filming, I'm like, well, that's something we didn't know.
That's what's like, I don't know. It's just kind of annoying when like these little tidbits keep like coming out and coming out and coming out. You're like, what is the story?
But he also didn't really explain that. Like, was it a voicemail? Was it a text? Was it a voice message?
I guess to me it sounded like he just like threw a text out or
that's
something.
what it sounded like to me too. He didn't really say he got a response.
Right.
Yeah, next week looks like it'll be another good episode. It seems like Brock and Scheana are going to get into it. That's going to be kind of uncomfortable. About Brock. I know. He's not looking good.
Especially with the domestic violence charge from like the past and like
just everything with his kids. No, it's definitely, if we didn't have all that with his past, I could see more of where he's coming from with this frustration. I know, like, yeah, I could definitely see. And Scheana is, like we were talking about too, she is just a very emotional person and needs a lot of emotional support constantly. And just from the clips, it sounds like there's like the mom's maybe a little bit too involved with that. And I could definitely see as a partner that would be difficult, but I don't know. We'll see. He's just not.
He doesn't sound like that sensitive about it. No. And I don't know if he's fed up or what. And like, just like even the previous daughters, Winter, and this one's Summer. I don't know. It's just all kind of like
it's a little uncomfortable.
I don't know what to think. I know. I don't know. I just feel like he should have maybe been like, no.
Yeah, like
not.
You know what?
Summer.
But I think.
I don't know.
Whose
it's just
idea
a little
was
weird.
it?
I know. Like it's a little bit of a weird.
Like I think somebody said, like Winter. What is it? Winter Sun, and this is Summer Moon. I think they were like being facetious about the name. But it's just like, it wouldn't surprise me if it was
literally
Winter Sun. Okay. Do I want to breeze through Beverly Hills? I mean, just another.
I forgot about that.
It sounds like the reunion.
I know that might be good.
Yeah, I know it, but these episodes are just kind of I half-heartedly watched. I don't know why. It's like, I think
because nothing's happening.
Yeah, and it's just like I just don't know. Like, they're not gelling. This cast
no,
is
and
not
it's like
gelling.
I don't feel it's like I like Kyle, but it's like I don't really feel connected with any of them either.
Yeah. I don't know. This season I think started off strong for me, and now I've just kind of lost
and
full interest.
And I hate to be like this too, but Sutton about drives me nuts. Like I've been fast forwarding. I just can't. It's too.
I know.
I can't. I'm not into that right now.
I know. So Erica has a little therapy session, and now she's saying that Tom was encouraging of her with her career, which before like she did not
I know.
say.
Well, it's like she said it, and then they got the divorce. Well, he was awful, and now I'm just like, no. And actually, it wasn't that bad.
And now we play back to that point. I could pull it up in a previous episode where we talked about that moment where we distinctly remembered her talking about getting Roxy Hart and holding his hand across the table with tears in her eyes, saying how supportive and amazing he was and thankful she was for him. So it was just like, you were very easy to forget about that.
I know.
But I do see, like, the theme of this episode I wrote was them talking about changes in their relationship. So she's talking about how life can be kind of scary even without like the legal stuff, but in general, without him, he was the full provider,
right,
and a security for her. And then Kyle talks to Sutton, right, about they're on the horse thing, and then Kyle talks about feeling independent kind of for the first time in her relationship with Mauricio, which I can definitely understand where she's coming from there. They did get together quite young, but at the same time, I'm like, well, when you guys got together, you already had been in a relationship and had a child, so, and you were very young, so it's like you guys almost didn't really get a chance to just be a young couple,
right, which is kind of what we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
kind of like, yeah, sometimes that like once the kid, especially when you do have kids, they just, especially when they're little, consume so much of your energy and time that like once, I could definitely see where you'd like lose each other in the mix, and then when they're gone, it's like,
oh no,
what do we have now?
Yeah. And then they did have their other two children pretty quickly, and then they had the break and then had Portia. So like it really was kind of,
they've only been in a house with kids. Yeah,
the whole time basically. I thought again that the scene with Garcelle and her sons, I don't know if this is for the cameras, but it's just like we keep seeing this blatant disrespect from her son Jax, and I don't know if I'm just kind of like, a little like annoyed by teenagers acting like that,
or like I don't know, is it trying to be like that cool funny like, kid thing we do? Like maybe he'd look back on this in 2 years and be like,
cringe.
I know, like I'm cringe, but it is
because it's not cringy. It's not just being like, oh, Mom, you're so annoying. It's, you're a bad parent and you need to look at what you're doing differently, and I need to see some changes.
I'm staring at you in your giant mansion. Like, is it that bad? I don't know.
I know. It's just
no perspective.
Wild.
And it's like 2023 and like just such a, like, I feel like as a teenager, I would have never thought I could take like an Uber to my friends.
I was listening to a podcast like earlier this week, and they were talking about Uber Teen.
Yeah,
and so I literally have that now.
What did I see that on? I can't even remember, but I saw that too. I was like, where you can like track the car. I'm like, I don't know. That's a little.
I mean, I guess that would never happen where we live, right? But maybe if we did live in the LA area, that would be more accepted.
I can't imagine my parent like giving me money for an Uber. Like, no, I'm driving you there.
But I mean, think about it. Like if a city kid in New York, like they take the subways themselves.
Yeah.
I still feel weird about the Uber. I'm not even gonna.
Well, it kind of feels like a rich kid.
Oh, it is 100%, because that's not even going to be cheap. They're still going to surge. you can just put your credit card on there and let your kid go to town. Yeah, I don't. Anyway, that was a little aside, but okay. Did you, that we go to Mauricio and Kyle talking, did you find what Mauricio was saying to Kyle about therapy and their relationship and everything? Did you feel like Kyle was not being heard in that moment?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, was that when they were sitting at
the bar?
Okay. No. I think Mauricio, like the whole time I was like, oh, Kyle's really checked out. Mauricio's really checked out.
Okay, because I felt kind of that same way.
But I feel like he probably is just like always like that. Well, and we just didn't see it before.
I know. I think that from what we were seeing in that moment, like it seemed like Mauricio was sharing his perspective, and I think it was relating to what Kyle was saying. Right. But Kyle is already she's checked out of the marriage and is being emotionally fulfilled in a different way by Morgan. And so I feel like anything that Mauricio is saying is just like, that's not enough.
Right.
You know? And I think it's totally fine that Kyle wants to live her independent life. But I also think that like Mauricio seems to think that's okay too. Like she was like, I'm not going to wait at home and go shopping all day while you're out. And he's like, well, I don't want you to do that.
Right.
So it just feels like they're not.
I think it seems like she's like begging for him to be like,
this isn't working anymore.
Yeah, like just like care. And he's like, no, I'm like pretty okay with you. And then just hang out and do what you want. Like, I'm okay with that type of marriage. And she's like, no, I want more.
Right.
And like just trying to get him to say that. And it's like, no, I think he thinks that'd be a pretty good setup.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I think they both could benefit from it, honestly. Like, they both kind of do, which it seems like they're doing that now anyway, where they're like, if they're officially separated or whatever, they're still doing family stuff together.
Right.
I guess I don't know how that's different from how they were living anyway.
Right.
And then Sutton brings grapefruit juice on her date. I'm sorry. I just feel like that's, I don't know. I don't want to be like alcoholic tendencies, but at the same time, it's like if you're bringing your own mixer everywhere you go, and then she brings a roadie to Anne Marie's party and shows up tipsy. Mm-hmm. Come on, girl. We already talked about that. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Like 5 episodes, we talked about that. I don't find trying on diamonds to be fun at Anne Marie's party unless I'm going to be gifted them or buying them. I don't really want to wear them.
Rich people parties.
Yeah, like that does nothing for me. And then we have this silly Anne Marie and Crystal feud that is basically meaningless and a waste of time to talk about, in my opinion.
Boring.
So yeah, I think tonight, because we're recording on Wednesday, is the finale.
Yeah, I think I saw that too.
And then they're filming, they just filmed the reunion.
Yes.
So, we'll see if the finale's good, and then hopefully things amp up a little bit in the reunion. But I just have been really bored with this for the past like 3 to 4 episodes, and I don't really have anything else to say about it.
No. Boring.
Okay.
Boring.
Okay. All right. Recommendations?
I am just going to do a really random recommendation, but Amanda's Safe Read.
Just her in general?
Her Instagram. Oh. She has the cute, like, I feel like she does Instagram so well, especially on her stories, where you get just like a little bit of cute kind of, like, she has like farm animals and she'll like post them, and then her dog, of course. And then she'll like post her kids a little bit, or like little like projects they're working on. Just like, it's super wholesome. And if you just want to look at some cute little wholesome, and then sometimes you'll get like a picture of her, or like a video of her doing stuff. She's just cute.
But her handle is
Minji.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Minji.
Why is that?
I know. I wonder if that's like a nickname. Or maybe it's like actually supposed to be like spread apart a little. Like, I don't know how. I'd have to look at it longer, but you never know.
Yeah, I haven't looked at her. Like, I see that she'll put stories up, but I don't think I've ever
She'll just do like
it.
a little something here and there.
Yeah, sometimes I forget about her.
I know. I think she's so cute.
Oh, she's so pretty. I know.
Nikki Reed has good like content on her, except for when she's like selling things, but she has like, I don't know where her and Ian live, but they're like look like they're like out west on this beautiful like ranch. Like
they would be living that life.
I know, like this is beautiful.
To just because you brought up like the selling things and the sponsorship, like I just get so, every time I see those posts or the stories, I'm just like click. Like,
I know,
I
it's
don't
like
care
too much.
Yes.
Too like, and I like Hailey Bieber's thing, but that's all it is. And I get like that's your business, you're promoting it, blah blah blah. But when it's like those rando ads, like buy this tea or whatever, it's like come on. It's like there's just no personality
especially
in
when
Instagram
like,
anymore.
When they're like, hey guys, I wanted to tell you about this new supplement I've been trying and you're going to love it. Like I have seen so many changes.
I know, it's like,
I'm like, don't care. Like with Hailey Bieber or somebody else who has their own company, it makes cut sense. Some slack there, even though it does get a little annoying sometimes. But with the full-on sponsored stuff, I'm just like, ugh, enough.
I know, it's so boring. Like I want to see, like I want your daily vlog on your Instagram story. Like I'm so sick of the impersonal stuff. I'm nosy and I want to know.
I know. And I know that this is a job for you too, but I like it better like if Amanda Hirsch will like post something and she'll just be like, hey guys, like this is it won't even be in video. It'll just be the picture. And then she'll be like, a lot of you have been asking about the hoodie I'm wearing. It's from this brand, and she'll link it. And it's like, okay, maybe nobody asked, and this literally was a sponsor for me. But like that to me is more genuine. And literally, I bought a pair of boots from her Insta story the one time, and she's like, the boots I have are on sale right now, guys. Like they're.
I know she's good at content too. Like she gives you that stuff, she gives you recommendations, she gives you other people's recommendations, she gives you shows recommendation and a little bit of personal life stuff, like if she's out to dinner, like she's good at it.
So there's sometimes I click through when she does the blatant unboxings and whatever. I don't care about that, but yeah, overall I think she's pretty good. I'm going to recommend, I ate a salad from BB Bop before we started recording, and I don't think I've ever been there before, but I really wanted a salad when I just got done with my spin class and needed dinner, and it was really good. Like I just got just the salad base with chicken and some veggies and beans in there, and then I got their sesame ginger like sauce. Delectable. Yeah,
I got at work that everybody ordered something. I can't even remember what I got, but I was like, this is really good. And then I never think to go there, but I would definitely love to go back. But yeah, it was really good, whatever I got. I just remember being like, damn, I'm enjoying this a lot. I wasn't expecting this.
I know. And it's so close there, like that new one that opened up. But I never went in there, even though it's so attainable. But yeah, it was good, and it actually was kind of cute in there. Like I wouldn't just sit and eat in there by myself, but it was kind of cute. They had like little booths that were like fully secluded, so it felt private. It was kind of cute. But anyway, it's just a little something fresh, especially since we're coming into some spring weather. A nice salad is always good, and it's always tastes better when someone else prepares it.
I know. Even with like smoothies and stuff, it's like, how did they just make it taste better?
I know.
Like, what is the secret?
I know. Like I could do it 100 times by myself at home and it wouldn't be the same.
Or even when I get those like salads from Costco, I'm like, if I bought all these ingredients, it would not. It just wouldn't.
I know. It would be so bland.
Yes, it's like I just can't. I don't know what they do, but
it's magical.
I know.
Well, thank you guys for listening. As we
4 hours later. That was a triggering episode, though.
It's at like 2:18.
That's it? Oh my gosh, I thought it was like 4 hours. Like,
it's like 2 a.m. Literally. We did have a lot to discuss.
No, it's just a triggering episode.
I hope that when people listen, if they listen to our full episodes, that like they end the episode and feel fulfilled. I mean, I feel like when we're talking about stuff that we're making sense and that we have a good train of thought and we're making good, comments about stuff. But I don't know.
But we must not be.
Because no one gives us reviews or leaves comments. Right. But yeah, let us know, please. Remember, if you want to rate us 1 star, maybe keep that to yourself, and you don't have to listen to us anymore. But for the people that...
At least we aren't on the bad level yet where we have like a full Reddit.
I don't know. Thing. I'm not on Reddit.
I'm assuming not. There's a lot of people that have bad Reddit.
That's true. If we do have one and you want to let us know, you can send us the link.
Curious.
Yeah. But we do appreciate you, even if sometimes some of you maybe don't like us. That's okay. We still like you. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.